Two U.S. Air Force B-52H Stratofortresses, call signs SOWI 111 and SOWI 12, are pouring a straight, lawful line across international airspace. It is the sort of night when nothing is supposed to happen, and for 2 hours, nothing has. Then a radar tone screams into both electronic warfare officers' headsets at once. The threat boards do not blink, they bloom. A single hard contact, bearing 240, 55 nautical miles out, closing at better than 600 knots. That closure rate eats the distance from Dallas to Fort Worth every 3 minutes, head on. 4 seconds later, the picture sharpens into one thing every bomber crew knows on sight. A fighter radar, hunting. The intercept is on. In the cockpit, the aircraft commander keys the interphone and tells the crew to hold course. A bomber task force run hangs entirely on looking as boring as it is supposed to. Same idea as walking through a sketchy parking lot. You do not change lanes. You do not run. You just look like you own the place. Predictable heading. Transparent intentions. Flying that tells the world a grown-up Air Force is at the controls. That is the plan. Anyway, the contact does not care about any of that. It is eating the gap faster than anything friendly has a right to. 2.5 miles back in combat trail, the wingman's crew picks up the same emitter a half beat behind the lead. 2 sets of eyes on one threat now, both reading the same picture in the dark, and neither bomber so much as twitches. This is what a bomber task force run is supposed to look like, right up until it is not. That radar tone that just screamed into the EWO's headsets, that was the AN-ALR-46, the B-52's first line of defense. A passive antenna net that listens across 12 to 18 gigahertz and sorts up to 16 radars at once by the rhythm and shape of their pulses. The instant this one keyed up, the box already had a name for it, a Type 1493. The radar bolted into China's J-11 flanker. The fighter has not even reached visual range, and the bomber already knows precisely who is coming to the party. Now the fighter enters visual range and the aircraft commander pulls the undernose camera feed onto his display. There he is. The J-11 climbing out of the bomber's 6 o'clock low, twin engine cans glowing white-hot in the infrared like 2 coals in a dark fireplace. This is the Shenyang J-11, China's reverse-engineered Su-27 flanker. Twin WS-10A engines pulsing 58,000 pounds of combined thrust, Mach 2.35 at altitude, 1,800-mile combat radius, 4 PL-15 beyond visual range missiles on the rails, weapons built specifically to hit bombers from outside visual range, 46 tons of fighter flown by one of the PLA's best. Those 2 little turreted blisters under the bomber's chin feeding that picture? That is the EVS. The electro-optical viewing system. It is a heat camera and a low-light TV crammed into one ball. On a moonless night, the heat picture turns pitch black into something close to daylight, close enough to pull a fighter out of the dark at long range. Think of it like a Ring doorbell camera on steroids, bolted to the nose of a bomber. Except instead of catching porch pirates, it is catching fighter jets sneaking up in the dark, and every frame of what it sees is already going to tape. The crew has eyes on the flanker long before the flanker has eyes on them. The picture is all wrong. His closure rate says he is not going to stop. The aircraft commander has a half second to decide. Braking is right there. Drop a wing, slide off the line, open the gap. No board on Earth would second-guess him. At 10 feet and 600 knots of closure, one twitch the wrong way turns 2 big airplanes into wreckage, scattered across the water. He holds heading. At the last possible second, the J-11 snaps his nose up and crosses 10 feet under SOWI 111's chin, close enough that both pilots watch the flanker's belly fill the windscreen before it whips past. Then the wake hits. A wall of churned, rotating air slams into the lead bomber like an invisible fist. 488,000 pounds of Stratofortress heaves, left through 12 degrees of bank before the commander can wrestle it back. Autopilot kicks off. Stick shaker rattles under his palms. The horizon reels across the glass. Number 4 engine gulps the disrupted air and stumbles. Its fuel-air ratio collapses. The computer chops it to keep the engine from torching itself, then spins it straight into an automatic relight. The pilot hauls 488,000 pounds of airplane back to level. The EWO never lifts his hands off the recorder controls. 6 seconds later, number 4 is running clean. The wings are level, the heading has not moved a degree, and every scrap of energy that fighter just threw off is already sitting in the bomber's memory. Search pulses, the IF transponder squawk, the data link chirp to his ground controller, all of it. Timestamp to the millisecond. The J-11 pilot figures he just sent a message. He did, just not the one Beijing had in mind. He just paid for a fighter sortie's worth of fuel to hand America intelligence that would have cost a fortune to collect any other way. Now the J-11 climbs back into their altitude, rolls level, and tucks himself into a tight formation barely 130 feet off the lead bomber's left wing. Tight enough to count rivets. He is not done. He wants to be seen. He wants to be felt. And most of all, he needs the bomber crew sweating. From where he is sitting, the Chinese pilot can see one B-52 and one only. The glow of its 8 engines, the silhouette of the lead pilot's head behind the glass. What he cannot see, what he is not even thinking about, is the second bomber 2.5 miles in trail and offset just enough to stay out of his mind. He has decided this is a one-on-one engagement. It is not. Sitting in the rack behind the Iwu seat is the AN/ALR-20, the bomber's wide-spectrum eavesdropping receiver, a wide-angle security camera that records every signal in a 200-mile bubble and tags each one. Who is sending it? How strong? What kind? The R-46 yells when something dangerous lights up. The AL-20 just sits in the corner cataloging the room. And at 130 feet, the flanker is not a guest across the room. He is standing at the microphone with his pockets turned inside out. On a separate frequency the Chinese pilot cannot even hear, the wingman's aircraft commander makes a quiet decision. He eases his throttles up a couple of % and lets his bomber drift forward and inboard, gaining on the lead a few feet a second. The move hides in plain sight, far too gradual for a pilot whose attention is welded to the lead's cockpit. Over the next 90 seconds, the trailing B-52 closes from trail to half a mile abeam. Sliding into the slot the flanker has no idea exists. He is boxed between 2 bombers now, and aware of just one of them. The J-11 peels off the formation, snaps hard right, and drops below the bombers into the cloud deck. He is rigging a second pass, dropping below the formation, swinging wide to the bombers 7 o'clock, then pulling his nose up to come at them off the lead's rear quarter. He claws up out of the cloud at full military power, pitches the nose across the lead's track, and hoses scalding turbine breath straight down the inboard intakes. Number 1 engine surges. The exhaust gas temperature needle jumps past red line. Number 2 surges a heartbeat later. The commander stands on the rudder as 34,000 pounds of thrust vanishes off the left side and tries to swing the nose around. It is a textbook gun run, except he is not carrying guns. He is carrying exhaust. Both of Saui 111's engines relight inside 8 seconds. The commander catches the yaw. The bomber never gives up an inch of altitude. Up front, the pilots trade a glance, but not a word. 2 stalls and a clean recovery is a bad 10 seconds in a simulator, and a worse one over open water at night, and they just flew it without keying the radio once. Down in the U station, the EWO's hand settles onto a consent switch. One flip and the bomber stops listening politely and starts screaming back. That switch arms the AN/ALK-172, the bomber's active electronic warfare suite, a combat-proven jammer that has been bending radar threats off B-52s for decades. He does not throw the switch. The peacetime rules on a night like this are carved in stone. You do not throw the first electronic punch, so he sits on his hand. And every second of restraint is one more second on the tape. The flanker has thrown everything he has. Wake turbulence, jet wash through the intakes, 2 engine stalls, and he has bought himself nothing but 2 cockpits that will not give him so much as a flinch. 2 passes down. The J-11 has taken everything he came for. Wake turbulence on the lead. Jet wash through the intakes. Not a twitch out of either airplane. He should be done here. He is not. The wingman's sensor catches it first. The flanker's heat signature ramps up to full afterburner. Both engines well past military power. A fast climb rate blooming underneath it. The Chinese pilot is pitching up hard from below and behind. The Iwu has it the second the numbers move. He is coming up vertical, straight between the 2 bombers, committing to the maneuver of the night. Nose up past 30 degrees, both burners cooking, climbing through the bomber's block on a track that will thread him right between the 2 airplanes. In his head, this is aggressive but recoverable. 1 bomber off his 10 o'clock, open sky to his right, and the exit dive once he tops out. In his head, there is only 1 bomber up here with him. The climb is locked in. A fighter that rotates into the vertical at full afterburner has nowhere good to go in a hurry. He is spending airspeed to buy altitude. The way a kid pedaling up a steep hill spends momentum. Halfway up, he is past the point of no return. Every second he holds the climb is a second he cannot just roll level and leave. The wingman's Iwu has been reading his energy state since the burner first lit. The math agrees with the geometry. He runs out of sky between the 2 bombers, not above them. At 26,000 feet and still accelerating, he bores up into the gap. Both bombers hold dead level on the original line. Both sets of pilots' hands light on the yokes. No flinch. No correction. 2 fixed points hanging in the dark. The flanker sears up through 30,000 feet between them. 1,000 feet of air to Saui 111 off his left. 2,000 to Saui 12 off his right. The wake off a fighter pulling 7 Gs in burner hammers both bombers and rolls clean through them. Neither one breaks. Halfway up the climb, the search pulse the EWOs have heard tapping at them all night suddenly tightens. Faster. steadier, locked into a rhythm on the formation. The Type 1493 had been loafing in low power surge from the start. Now mid-climb, it leans in hard and snaps to track mode. A tighter, high-fidelity look that stops just short of a full weapons lock. The pulse rhythm shifts the instant it does, and that is the gift that keeps giving. Inside the same 30 seconds, the EWOs have his radar nailed in both the modes it runs. He came up here to rattle 2 bombers. He is filling out their threat library instead. At 32,000 feet, he runs out of climb. Rolls right to set up the exit dive away from the lead and into what he is sure is empty sky. Something catches in the corner of his eye. Motion where his sensors swore there was nothing. He looks again. A second B-52. Fully lit. 8 engines burning bright in the infrared. Fills the right side of his canopy less than half a mile off. He is a fighter pilot. He reads the geometry in a heartbeat. And the geometry is a trap. He is boxed by 2 488,000-pound airplanes with no clean way out, so he rolls hard, shoves the nose down, and dives across the wingman's flight path with barely 600 feet to spare. Both engines screaming, he drops away into the dark. Both bombers feel the wake of him go. Neither one breaks. Leveling at 18,000 feet, his threat receiver goes quiet. The B-52s never jammed him, never maneuvered, never gave up a foot of altitude. From his cockpit, nothing from the bombers' cockpits. The richest passive collection of their career. The prize? The EV's turret locked onto his exhaust and recorded the full thermal bloom. The heat fingerprint belongs to the WS-10A, China's homegrown engine. A jet engine's heat signature is as unique as a human voice. Its exact profile has been one of the most closely guarded secrets in the PLA Air Force. Imagine chasing a singer's voice for 2 decades. Then one night, he walks up to your microphone and serenades you at point-blank range. Every heat-seeking missile in America's inventory is about to get a software update. The Chinese pilot just volunteered for the focus group. He spent tens of millions to take a selfie with a 52 Chevy while leaving his Tesla unlocked with the windows down. The B-52s press on. The J-11 flies home with no idea what he left behind. The enemy takes selfies. America catalogs the room. The hunters have become the hunted.